Omnibuds, stop what you're doing right now and read Animal Man by Grant Morrison. I mean, not right now. First, watch this video, maybe hit the subscribe button, maybe leave a comment. Then stop what you're doing and read Animal Man by Grant Morrison. Grab your cup of coffee and let's check out this book. All right, here is The Animal Man Omnibus by Grant Morrison. This was penciled predominantly by Chaz Truog. I doubt I'm saying that correctly. There were some fill-in artists as well. I think all of the cover work is done by Brian Boland, who you know from The Killing Joke. But let's get the dust jacket off this and have a look. All right, really cool wraparound cover. Animal Man, and really kind of unique, a human hand kind of peeling away at Animal Man. Really interesting concept, but let's dig into this. So one thing I want to note, this series started about 1 year after the final issue of Watchmen hit the shelves. Now I say that because as I read this, I see a lot of influence from Alan Moore, and it's clear to me that Grant Morrison was reading Watchmen and has a lot of respect for what Alan Moore did. So who the hell is Animal Man? Animal Man is Buddy Baker. He's a C-list superhero who surprisingly remembers the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Animal Man can borrow the abilities of animals within his vicinity. So throughout this book, you'll see him fly because he's constantly around birds. Or if he's near an elephant, all of a sudden he's got elephant-level strength. And it sounds really kind of cheesy, but he's probably one of the more powerful superheroes in all of DC. So, like I said, this takes place after Crisis on Infinite Earths. That Buddy surprisingly remembers fighting in, but since then he's kind of been on a retirement, so to speak. And Buddy, Animal Man, kind of wants to get back in the game. So we start off this book with Animal Man juggling family life. He's got a wife, he's got a son, he's got a daughter. His journey back into heroism, his animal activism, and a strong desire to join the JLA. Here's just another example of awesome, awesome cover work by Brian Boland. Just fantastic stuff. I really love 80s comics in the style, the coloring and the palette, and I just love the art throughout this book. Here's what it looks like when Animal Man is kind of hunting for an animal within his vicinity to borrow their powers. So you can see here he's hunting, he finds a bird, and then all of a sudden he can fly. Again, it sounds cheesy, and to me it kind of was cheesy as I first was reading this, but as you go on, it just becomes quite a bit cooler. So Buddy lives in California, which keeps him away from Gotham and Metropolis, which I think is a great thing for the character. It allows his character to grow within the panels and not be tied to the larger universe. Now, having said that, and as you can see here on this page, there are a lot of cameos in this. We get Superman, we get a little Martian Manhunter. I'm not the biggest DC guy, so forgive me, but the Hawkman and Hawkgirl, they're some kind of aliens, I guess. They show up, and that really just kind of helps you place him in that DC universe. But he's kind of far away from the other heroes. There are a lot of mentions to some bad guys that he faces having broken out of Arkham Asylum, so you know that this character exists in the DC universe. Here's one of the Hawk lady characters. So once we get to know Buddy and his family and kind of his journey back into heroism, this story really starts picking up in the second half of this book. Something happens to Buddy in Africa, and he spends most of the rest of the book trying to figure out what the hell's going on. He feels like something's kind of weird. Here's a Martian, the Martian guy. Something's kind of going on. Something's not feeling right. And this is where Grant Morrison starts placing little hints of metafiction or breaking of the fourth wall, and just doing some things that we're probably all familiar with now, having read She-Hulk and 89, 90, and reading Daredevil, right, who breaks the fourth wall constantly. But if you go back to 87, 86, 87, I think, whenever this came out, that was a kind of a new concept. So as Grant Morrison slowly starts breaking the fourth wall, he's kind of letting us, the reader, know that he knows we're reading a comic book. And, some of those things that happen to Buddy, to Animal Man in Africa are starting to come to light to us from Grant Morrison, but Buddy's still in the dark. Morrison teases comic book fans. He teases hero tropes. And he teases himself throughout this entire book. Metafiction story elements that we're familiar with, again, from like She-Hulk and Daredevil, were likely birthed right here from Grant Morrison. There's some good humor in this book, but there's also some really real, gritty, dark things that happen in this book as well. It's got a really good balance, I thought. So, I'm trying not to give away anything here because I really want you to read and experience this. But, obviously Buddy's spends a lot of time not fighting bad guys and bank robbers, but protecting animals and going after, illegal hunters. And, we get this great issue here of him trying to save whales and dolphins. But near kind of the 3/4 mark, Buddy, Animal Man, goes through an unspeakable tragedy, and it's just absolutely awful. And he attempts to undo it with some time travel. And if you've been reading comics for long enough, time travel is a big element in comics. But it's really unique what Grant Morrison does as he sends Buddy into the past. Buddy does not get the results that he thinks he's going to get. And during that time where he's in the past, some story elements and plot threads that Morrison had kind of laid throughout this book, some of that confusion that Animal Man had felt after Africa, really start making more sense. As we kind of wrap up this story, the final issue, again, without giving anything away, kind of, again, that breaking of the fourth wall, Buddy meets Grant Morrison. And it's Grant Morrison's send-off to the character. He did 27, I think, issues in this book. And that final issue, which I'll get to without showing you too much, is just a conversation between Grant Morrison, right here, and Animal Man. And, Animal Man asking, if you are dictating everything that happens in this book, why have all these terrible things happened? Why have I experienced pain? Why have I experienced loss? Why are animals constantly being hurt? This is just an absolutely fantastic story, and I absolutely loved it. So I hope you enjoyed flipping through the pages of Animal Man by Grant Morrison. I absolutely loved this story. Grant Morrison taking this C-list hero who had never had his own title before and really making you care about him, care about his family, and care about his journey was such a fun adventure. This story has everything you want. It's brutal. It's got aspects of horror. It's funny. It's got amazing character growth. I fell in love with Animal Man very early on in this read. Like I said, at that halfway point, it really starts picking up and things start coming together. And at the end, Grant Morrison wraps it all up and brings it home. The art by Chaz Truog is fantastic. There's a couple guest artists in there. They do a great job. The covers by Brian Boland are amazing. I'm a big Animal Man fan. You say that. I'm a big Animal Man fan now, and I can't wait to get more. We've got the Jeff Lemire stuff that came out in 2000 something or other, but we've also got Animal Man by Peter Milligan, Tom Veitch, and Steve Dillon coming out in April. I am pre-ordering that from Panelbound Comics the second I'm done recording this thing. Like I said, absolutely love this. I'm not a big DC guy. I don't like the main, Superman and kind of the Metropolis and the big heroes of DC. But I really like the underbelly of DC, and Animal Man fits into that so well. Leave a comment. Let me know if you've read this story and what you thought about it. Are you going to get the next volume that's coming out in April? Should I go pick up Lemire's book right now and read it? Let me know. Hit that subscribe button, and we will see you on the next video. Thanks.